What's going on, guys? Today in this video I'm going to be attempting to make a teleprompter. So what I have going on right now is I have a scrap piece of wood that I got from a construction site. They're building new homes. They've got a ton of these just sitting in dumpsters and stuff, just from pieces they've cut from the house. So I'm going to be trying to make this as cheap as possible because I tried to do everything as cheap as possible, save some money. So basically what I've done is I've drawn out basically the size that I am going to want for my teleprompter. And when doing this, I tried to make it as small as possible. You can see the edges are pretty thin on here because, you know, this wood is not super thin. It's probably 3/4 or an inch. I have no idea, I didn't measure it. But it's pretty heavy, so I don't want to use too much, but at the same time, I don't want to use too little. So I have drawn out this roughly. I have the iPad. I also have another tablet that I could possibly use. They're about the same size. So I have this here. I have a little bit of space around the edges, just so I can drill holes, or I can drill some sort of brackets around here to hold this in place just in case it doesn't slide off. But that's down the road. I'm doing this step by step just so I can kind of troubleshoot along the way. But this is definitely the first step, is to actually make the base of this. So I got this, and the first thing that I purchased was a picture frame from Walmart. It was $3. It's an 8x10, and the glass on here is going to be used as the reflectional surface, and then it's gonna be like put right up against the camera, and it's gonna record just like this without the glares, because yeah, I'm gonna fix that with some darkness. But that's how it's gonna go, is the camera's gonna go right here, and it's gonna be facing towards where I'm at right now. I'm gonna have it facing down like this. You can kind of see the reflection of the red. That's basically how it works. It's gonna reflect what I have on my iPad so I can read something out. The camera's gonna be over here. I'm gonna be here where my toe is at, and bam, basic teleprompterness. So because this 8x10 is gonna be slightly wider, well, at least the frame is slightly wider, I kind of bowed it out a little bit. And then I went back in and narrowed it out at the end down here. And this is where the camera's gonna go. I left a decent amount. I can always cut this down later, but I left a decent amount just in case I wanna do something else with that area where the camera's at. But the camera's gonna sit right here, face in this way. And another thing I'm gonna have to do is with the scrap wood that I have left over, I need to build something to raise up the camera, because I can't just leave it flat here and face this way, or else it's not gonna be even. It's gotta be like dead center in the top of this, or else it's gonna catch the edges or the bottom of the iPad or something. So that is my first step, is to cut out this piece of wood. And just like that, I am done cutting it out. Yes, I know it's not perfect, but I really don't care. I just want to get the general shape and cut down that really big piece that I have. So now that I have the general shape, the next thing I'm gonna do is actually grab some spare fabric that I have. You don't have to do this, but it's gonna make it look a lot better. And plus, the type of wood that I have here is, you can sand it a little bit, but it still has random little jagged things on there. Plus, if I take my iPad out of its case and I put it on here, I don't want it to get scratched in any way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some fabric over the top. I'm gonna choose this as my top and the other side as my bottom. There's really no difference besides the color. But I'm gonna put the fabric on here, I'm gonna stretch it around the side, and I'm just gonna staple it on the other side. So I grab the fabric over it, and I cut it around the edge of it, just like this, there we go, so that covers my so I take it, and we flip it over, and put it up, center, where it should be, put it up, press it down, yeah, there we go. Now I feel much better about my iPad getting naked and laying down on here, scooting around. Now, you don't have to do this, you can, got some of these, they're like little 3M sticky tape on one side, and then like a little gel on the other side. You can use furniture pads. You can keep the case on there. There's so many different things that you can do to keep whatever you're in there protected. But now that I have it in place, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do to keep it in place. Tacks, that's right. The stuff that you put on the wall that you probably already have laying around the house, totally free. What I'm gonna do is I've already got one in here. All you gotta do is put it into the wood, and you're gonna need a hammer because unlike your walls and stuff, you're gonna have drywall over there. It's gonna be really, really easy. This is gonna be a little bit more solid, so you're gonna have to find the place that you wanna put it in, and then just tap it in with a hammer. You have to do it very gently. Don't smash it in like you would a nail because these little pieces of metal on these tacks are very, very fragile and they don't go in all the way. So just slowly tap it down and it'll slowly just go in there all the way down like this one. Not gonna go anywhere. So this is what I have now that it's all done. I've got 2 down here on the bottom, and on the sides I have it staggered. I only have 1 down here and 1 up here. I don't have 1 down here or up here, mainly because there is a button up here, but this makes really great and easy because once I put the frame up here, it's gonna be kind of hard to get out because I do want to use this iPad for other things besides this. So instead of locking it in place, because I can come in here and show you guys, if it just lifts up, it can't because of the top part of this tapers out. So this iPad doesn't come out unless I just tilt it to the side because there's nothing over here. If I just tilt it and I can just bring it right out, super easy. So what I did here is I put it up on the desk and I got to about eye level because this is where it's gonna be once I put the camera up here. This is where it's gonna be, this is where I'm gonna be looking into. So if I put the frame about where it's gonna be and then look, you can kind of tell on the camera, there's the reflection right there. You can see the reflection. Oh, by the way, make sure your tablet, whatever you're using, is full brightness so this works better. And you're gonna see what angle works best. And basically what I'm gonna do, the camera is gonna be dead center right there. I'm gonna adjust it to where it is just right. I'm gonna check the angle and then I'm going to attach something onto the side across here and see if that itself will hold it in place without anything like hinged down at the bottom. Okay, so I think I know what I'm gonna be trying. I've got this. It's a thin piece of metal. I believe this is, it comes from this reel. It is for hanging exhaust. So it's flexible, but at the same time, it's rigid enough to hold something like a light little piece of wood. So I'm gonna get some screws that fit through here, and then I'm gonna be drilling a hole. You have to drill a hole through these because it's thin, it's cheap, so it's gonna crack. I'm gonna drill it through the thick part so it doesn't interfere with the glass. Now this whole unit is all done. So on the sides here, these are about 3 centimeters in. I played around with it to figure out that it was about 3 centimeters for the angle that I wanted. But the cool thing is, these are in nice and tight. These aren't gonna move anywhere. It can actually pivot on these because I didn't tighten these down really, really tight. Those are just kind of snug in there, enough to be able to hold this in place if you wanna move it. So if you're standing up and maybe your tripod's not really tall or really short, then you can actually, instead of having the hinge down there on some of the other ones that I saw people make, you can move this. Let me turn on my iPod. You can move this and say you're really low compared to where you usually are. You can move that so you can see the reflection better based on where you're at. You can move it up, you can move it down, and I feel like that's a lot better. So now that I have that, next up I need to make the camera mount. And to let you guys know, at the bottom of the camera, you have the camera mount, which is a 1/4 inch. That's what this one is. I've got a few here. I've got a long, medium, and short one because I don't know exactly how tall the mount's gonna be yet. So I just dug those out. And I've got a big box of random stuff. So I found these in here. These are a 1/4 inch. So these will thread into the bottom of the camera. And that's why I have different sizes, because I don't know yet. But the other thing I need to do, and the one thing I might need to go to Home Depot, well, definitely need to go Home Depot or Lowe's. On the other side, I want to have this whole unit attached to this, my tripod. This is the Amazon Basics, and how this works is at the top there's a little thing that you can put in, and it latches into place. That's what this is. You can pop this in any way that you want to, because the bottom part is perfectly square. This is the rectangle. You pop that in any way you want to, and this is the little 1/4 inch screw that goes into the bottom of your camera or whatever you're using. I need to make something on the bottom of this so I can screw this onto the bottom of my teleprompter. Now I need to go to Home Depot and get what is called a wood insert nut. So basically it's a little cylinder on the inside is a threaded portion that can go into. All I gotta do is drill a hole in the bottom, hammer that in, so this has something to thread into basically. So I cut up some pieces that I had left over from the scrap, and I measured it out, and apparently 3 is gonna be just enough. But after putting my camera up here and raising it up, what I did for the glass is I measured it from one angle to the next angle so I could get the exact center, look through here, and saw exactly where the middle of my lens was. That's how I know it's high enough. So now that I have that, I'm gonna grab the wood, and I don't have any wood glue, so I'll probably just drill these and screw them together, and then probably put some fabric on the outside of it so it doesn't look super out of place when I actually put that up there. And then the last step is I have to drill a hole through the whole thing, because now that I know how high it is, I have to measure from the very bottom here all the way up to the top of this and give a little bit more just so I have some poking out so I can actually mount my camera. So the hole has been drilled, and before I cover it up, I want to use this opportunity to mark where I want it to actually be. So I put it up here, I put the camera in, aligned everything, the hole with the hole in the bottom of the camera. So everything is aligned there, and then right before it touches the glass, lined everything up, and then I took my bolt, put it down to the bottom to figure out where exactly it was, marked a little hole. So now before I get that all dressed up, I'm gonna make sure I have a nice clean hole coming through here. There it is stuck through the bottom, fits beautifully over this. And just a little pointer for you guys, if you guys are doing it this way, don't put fabric on it beforehand. I know it's gonna be a little hard with other stuff, but I've got like a bunch of sawdust and crap under here from drilling through that. So there's that. But anyway, most of it's gonna be covered up anyway with this. So once I dress it up, I'll be able to, there it goes. I'll be able to pop that on there and it'll all blend in. So here it is, it blends in beautifully. I've got it poking out on the top here, and if we tilt it up, I did add a washer on there just so it spins more freely than it did before. The wood is kind of rough, so it caught on it. I opened up the hole a little bit with the drill and then just put in a washer in there so it spins around, makes it easier to screw the camera in. So last but not least, we need to put a hood, because if we put it up here, you can see the glare over here. Here's my hand behind the camera. You don't want that while you're filming. So we're gonna put, the camera's gonna be here, we're gonna put a hood that goes around it so it keeps it dark on the inside so there's no glare on the glass. Usually what people do is they will cut up the cardboard that comes with the picture frame, but as you can see, I took off that little stand that came with it, so you know, picture frame, it stands up. Took that off, 2 little holes, not a problem. You know what you can find for free everywhere? Cardboard. So I've got some, I went down to the dumpster, everyone always gets packages, so So this is what it's gonna look like when it's done. I've got the 2 screws there, 2 on the side, 2 on the other side. Now if you don't have screws or nails or anything like that, you can always use tape. Since this is just cardboard, you can just tape it to the front. And as you can see, my cardboard's not perfectly flat. If you want to, you can go through and put some duct tape or electrical tape or whatever you have available, put that up, and that's what it looks like. It's a little hood. I already put the glass back in here. If we take a look in here, it helps so much, but you can still see right up in here, the shadow, my fingers are waving. There's a little bit of light because that's the light coming from behind me. So there's still a need, even though this hood helps tremendously, to just blanket over some sort of fabric. If you've got a shirt, if you've got leftover fabric, if you have anything, we'll just drape it over like that. And yeah, that's pretty much all that's left for that. So let me pretty this up a little bit and do that. Bam, just like that. Everything is working out just all right. So cut the hole in here, camera fits nice and beautifully in there. Everything is good to go. It looks super DIY because, you know, it is, but it works. Everything functions the way that it should be, so you don't have to spend $100 or $200 on an actual teleprompter thing. So this, I guess, would be an optional step. Like I said in the beginning, I wanted to mount it to my tripod up there. So there's this whole thing. I already had all this stuff. This whole thing so far has cost me $3 for the picture frame. I already had everything else, found everything else, got everything else for free. There is one more thing. If you do want to attach this on the bottom so I can slide it in to my tripod, I had to go to Lowe's and get that wood nut. But those things come in a pack of 4 and they're like $4.50 or something like that at Lowe's. So instead I got a single one. It's not the same thing, but it's just this metal one. It's got the threading on the inside. It fits on that. So all I have to do is drill a hole that's slightly smaller than this, and whatever I deem as the middle, I'll probably just put it on the edge of something and balance it to see where exactly the middle is. So I'll draw a line to figure out where the middle is, get the middle of that line, drill a hole that's just slightly smaller than this so I can hammer it in and it's not gonna move, because the actual wood screws have little spikes and stuff on it so it sticks in the wood. This one doesn't, but this one was so much cheaper because it's only one. So that's what I'm gonna do, get the middle of that, drill a hole, hammer this into place on the other side, of course. And then once that's in, I'll have this on the bottom so I can attach this to my tripod. And there it is on the bottom. It was just a little bit longer. You can see it like that. So it was a little bit longer than the thickness of the actual wood. I kept this flat out here, and that's what we have left over. Regardless, doesn't matter if it sticks out a little bit or not. Okay, so quick little caveat. I had to cut this little threaded nut thing in half because it was sticking out. I didn't think it'd be a problem. Put it up on the tripod, or yeah, put it up on the mount with the little tripod thing, and it was just doing a little balancing act. So it needs to be flat or else something's gonna break, especially with all of this. Even if it's not too heavy, it's still heavy enough to probably bend something. So it needs to be flat on there. So for me, I just chopped it in half with my saw, and then I hammered it back in. And just another quick edit on the bottom here where I have the camera mount with the 1/4 inch bolt that I put through. I ended up just putting 2 screws in to actually secure it in place because it was getting really annoying having this thing move around when the camera wasn't in place. So now that it's actually screwed down, it's solid, it's one piece, and it really doesn't affect anything as long as you get the nails far enough in, plus this thing sticks out anyway. thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. If you haven't already, make sure you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram so you can get some behind the scenes stuff that hasn't happened yet and unreleased content that no one else has seen. And if you haven't already, watch that video. And if you watch that video, watch that video. And if you've watched both of those videos already, make sure you subscribe down here. Yeah, watch this stuff. It's awesome. And if you've watched that, and subscribed,